Welcome to this week's episode of the Popcorn Wind Down. Thank you for joining us. I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy.
Pop Stars, this week's episode is brought to you by La Familia. Sometimes family isn't what you're born into, but the people you choose to ride or die with. La Familia, where blood is sometimes thicker than water. So you know
Wouldn't
what
it be
that
water
really.
is thicker than blood?
Oh yeah, my bad. Where blood isn't always as thick as water. I don't know. Y'all get the point. I'm just excited about this week's show. I think that
Yay!
gives it away. Okay, so this week we get back behind the wheel as we catch up with the Toretto family in the latest installment of the Fast and Furious franchise, Fast X, or Fast 10. This latest installment sees the crew's past catching up with them when Cypher, played by Charlize Theron, shows up on Dom's doorstep, bloody and beaten to hell, with an ominous message about the devil coming to get his due. The devil of which he speaks is Dante Reyes, played by sexy Jason Momoa. That's what it actually says on IMDb. If you look it up, Jason Momoa, sexy. Anyway, the son of Hernan Reyes, the drug kingpin who was the big bad in the Fast Five, who is seeking revenge for everything that happened in Brazil. So, Tammy, what did you think of Fast X? Was it worth the ride or did it run out of gas?
Way better than number 9.
Yeah, I think nine was a low bar, but it passed it. But I agree
Yeah.
with you on that.
I really, really enjoyed it. But I think I have a question first. I have a question
Okay.
before we get into the
Okay.
conversation. Who was
Okay.
the star of Fast 10?
Gosh.
Like one. You can only name one person. If you can name one person for Fast 10, who do you think was the star?
Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
I'm biased bringing it up. I would have to say it was Mamoa.
Thank you. Okay, no, that's what I was gonna say because I wanted to see if you saw what I saw because I feel like this kind of goes back to when Hobbs came in and and he kind of like stole the show, right? Like he became such a star of Fast Five. Now, granted, the one thing with Fast Five, which is like my favorite Fast and Furious one movie, is I love the whole ensemble cast, right? They just all came together perfectly, right? They all
Uh-huh.
came together perfectly. And I really, really love that. But Hobbs really, really stood out. He really stood out. And I think with this movie, I don't care what nobody says. Jason Momoa killed it, owned it. This was his whole entire thing. Like I said, this is the first time where I looked at Jason Momoa and I did not automatically think Aquaman. This is the first movie that I've seen, and I wasn't looking at him and thinking, "There go Aquaman right there. He's sexy, y'all." Like I didn't think that. Like I was fully engrossed in the villain that he played. Like I'm gonna say, like, he gave Cypher a run for her money. Like, I love Cypher and Charlize Theron, but like Jason Momoa in this movie was phenomenal. He was so good, so good. Like he was pure evil, and I love that. There was nothing about him that you could save. Like he was the ultimate sociopath, and he knew it, and he embraced it. And he remind me of some of the villains from Bond, who are just pure evil and got like no qualms about killing whoever they need to kill in order to get what they want. Like I just, yeah. So to end that, I really, I really, really love the movie. It definitely made up for 9, which I thought was an absolute disappointment. And the bar is not that high for the Fast and Furious. Well, I don't think the bar is that high for the Fast and Furious series. We just go for all the action packed scenes that are going to be in there. And like, I think for 9, they just went too unbelievable. Like you couldn't believe it at all. Like this shit would never ever happen. And I think with Fast 10, it brought it back to where, yeah, I doubt any of this is going to ever happen. but at the same time, like it's way more believable than going to space. So I'm down for it. Like it gave me the feel of overall gave me the feel of what I got when I watched Fast Five, and we can break down like the characters and everything like that. But overall, I enjoyed it way more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah, I'm with you. I definitely thought it was better than I thought it was going to be. And I'm one that's all in on the Fast and Furious franchise. I own every single one. Um, and I will own every single one. And yes, I do go back, and it's one of those that I go back and watch. It's a guilty pleasure, and they've gotten better. Um, the only one, unless I'm just watching them, kind of like a
Tokyo
Marvel
Drift.
movie, huh?
No, go ahead.
Unless I'm just watching them to, yeah, Tokyo Drift is the one that I'll skip. Oh, but but I do own it, but I will skip it. So uh, it you still had to suspend reality, but I think you and there was something funny on Twitter the other day, like which the question was which Fast and Furious movie was it that made you just realize that this shit is so unbelievable? And so everyone was picking a scene from movies, right? And then someone just said, "Y'all, why y'all bullshitting? You just gotta go back to one." And they picked this scene from one, from the original one, and you're watching it, and you're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." Like we thought it jumped the shark, but nah, this shit been done jumped the shark. So, but it's just a good and to me it's I think with four is when I really just gave in and it's like, yes, this is my shit. The first ones are like okay, but four to me is when the franchise just really, really, really starts. But you just accept that, hey, it is what it is. It's a guilty pleasure popcorn series. That's it. It's not anything you go to. Because I I was I had a friend go with me or meet me at the theater because I told you how I was feeling, right?
Hmm.
And so, and I was just like, look, you just got to suspend all reality. So when the movie starts, I said, okay, this is where you got to throw reality out the window and just suspend it. Okay. But it was better than nine, like you said, definitely much better. And I think part of it, hear me out, hear me out. I know I'm about to say something controversial. Okay. I think what made this one better is they kind of went back to the heart of it. They got back to the story. And I think after Paul Walker's death, they didn't really know how to address it. Like seven, you knew he was still there for seven because he died during filming. Eight, it was still maybe too soon for the audience and everyone else to want to really address it, so you understood. So I think they were still trying to go over the top to make you not miss it as much, or you know what I'm saying, to make you not feel like something was missing. So
Hmm.
it's like if we throw all this at you, you won't realize that an integral part of the family is missing, and we still haven't addressed it. And we talked about this when we did nine, and we were saying, we were like, and I'll get into it a little bit more, but I think that this is the one that this story, the way they set it up, would be the perfect time. And spoiler alert, this is only part one. We know that we're getting 11 movies. We're actually getting 12 because it's going to be Fast X. This is Fast X part one. And then Fast X part two is going to be the sequel to this one. And then it ends with Fast 11 or Fast. Yeah. So, but anyway, so I think this would be the perfect story to do this. And Jason Momoa, you were spot on. It's like I think we shared a brain. um, he understood the fucking assignment,
Yes.
and when you said he was like the perfect Bond villain, I think part of the problem with the villains before, like Fast Five, and you again brain sharing. Um, it's rare that that happens that we can agree on a
Yes.
movie and have. But Fast Five is probably one of my favorite in the series, if not the
Mhm.
best in the series so far. I don't know if that they will ever top five, and I think it is a culmination of where they were able to introduce new characters, but also make everything else make sense, you know,
Yeah.
and even tie in the horribleness of Tokyo Drift without bringing in all the bad. Like you had Han, okay, and you know he was a fan favorite, and so you bring back Han, and it's like, oh, okay, so you address Tokyo Drift without addressing Tokyo Drift, right? Like, tell me
Like
the
you
worst
say it
movie.
happened. You say it happened. It was reality, but you're not bringing everything from the reality. You just gonna bring exactly what we need and what we loved about reality, which was one character.
Yeah, tell me your movie. Tell me the worst movie of your franchise without telling me the worst movie of your franchise. You know. um, so, uh, but yeah, like he understood the assignment, and he didn't take himself seriously, but you knew he was one serious motherfucker. Like he got it. He embraced the fact that he was over that this hero was supposed to be not hero, but this character, this villain was supposed to be over the top. And I think a lot of the other big bads in the series have taken themselves too serious in a franchise that is just kind of like I said before, a popcorn series. So his over the top flamboyance and dramatics, they fit in. Like he was perfect for that role and he embraced it. It's not like not to call anyone out, The Rock, who refuses to play a bad guy because he thinks it would ruin his perfect image or whatever. It's like, no. Sometimes the bad guy, like I think Gyllenhaal and even DiCaprio, and I think the greats have shown us that the turns that they do as the bad guy, just embracing it can be
You
fun.
said the greats. You said people who can really act, Eddie.
Well, okay, but you get the point I'm trying to make.
Yes, I
That's a
know, I
conversation
know.
for a different day. But I love the fact that he embraced it. And at first, it was like he had just the right amount of camp. He had the right amount of villainy and evilness, and then the pure sociopathy. Like they all just kind of met up and formed the perfect. And it's like when you were watching it, could you imagine anyone else playing that role? Like
No.
he was perfect for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like and admit it, like he's at that point in his career where you give him credit because it's like, you when you hear Jason Momoa is going to be in the Fast franchise, you're thinking, oh, he's going to come in and be a good guy, or he's going to be come in and be a redeemable guy, like Hobbs, my boy Jason Statham. When he came in, you knew he had a purpose, right? But his he was set on trying to avenge or revenge his brother, but he was eventually switched. There's no way in hell, even with this, and we can talk about as we go on. Even Cipher is now kind of like the anti-hero. There's no redemption for Momoa's character, and I
No.
love that. I love that. Like there's no redemption for him, and I love it. Um, and so it was like you saw like the scene where he infiltrated Cypher's crew, right? You saw the pure genius, the evil, and the villainy, because that was some cold shit. Like that was
I,
just
I
like,
I clap for that. I clap for that
like
because
the
I was
way
like,
he,
damn, checkmate, checkmate.
like, and when she said it, she's like, "Who the fuck are you?" And he's like, "Why?" She goes, "Because game recognizes game." Like, and then that's what I told her. I'm like, "Damn, when you got Cypher like scared, it's like, what? Who the fuck are you?" Like when you got that crazy bitch questioning, like, what? And she played it off good, like, okay, don't show no fear. But it was like, oh fuck. And so, and then that scene where he was in the scene in Brazil, that was a combination of all three. He was a little bit over the top, like when he comes in, that was that campiness, right? And then the race itself, it was like, okay, you still have some of the campiness, but the way he tried to make him choose, and it was just like, okay, that was like the evil villains, and then just kind of the sociopathy coming in. And my friend was like, how he gonna choose that girl over his homeboy? And then she was like, and then I'm like, man, always thinking with the little head, even though he's committed to Letty, but you find out that that's actually truly family, you know. So, and then where it's just pure crazy, the campy crazy part is when he was the perfect. And I love this scene, and I don't know what this says about me. is when he was when he was having his spa day, his self-care day.
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God. Oh my
And then when you see homeboy speak, you're like, ooh, those jacked up. And I'm like, and I said, I'm like, those are dead feet. Like there's no way, just the way, you
When you
know.
heard the fly, I was just like, those people dead.
And then he's talking, and then you look up and you see the guy's saran wrap face, and I'm like, this motherfucker is crazy. And at first, when you say, and then you don't know the full story because when we first meet him, and 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 I was telling my friend, the way they used AI to go back and kind of put him in the scene
Mm-hmm.
from Fast Five, I was like, I'm okay with AI being used in that way, but to create whole movies, no. But that's a different story for a different day. But and so I was like, okay. I'm like, so because he seemed relatively sane, right? Like he seemed relatively sane. And then so when he was like, I was clinically dead for 2 minutes, I'm like, okay. And then he's like, and they had to crack open my brain. I said, oh, okay. So him being clinically dead and them having to do whatever, that kind of loosened some screws. But then you find out that motherfucker was born with some screws loose. So I was like, oh,
I'd be
it's
like, tell me
all,
your father's son without telling me you're your father's son.
yeah. And I was like, damn. And then because he was like, yeah, because that part I cracked up when he said, Daddy was a horrible man. He was a terrible father, but I actually liked him. And I'm like, oh, shit. Because I couldn't figure, I was like, is he doing this for revenge? Is he doing this because he lost the money? Is he doing this because he actually liked his crazy ass daddy? Like, what is this? You know,
Everything.
it was everything. So I just thought he was great. And I think and to go back to the Paul Walker thing, tell me if you agree with this. I think this is the perfect time to
To kill him
actually,
off.
yes, to do
I'm
right by
starting
his
the kill
character.
off Brian campaign.
Yes, to do right by his character because and hear me out. It would make no sense at this point, given how it ends, right? How it ends on a cliffhanger. And even if Paul Walker had left the series, which I don't think he ever would have, but even if for some reason he left the series and he'd come back, okay, he'd been off screen working on another movie, whatever. At this point, leading the audience to believe that Brian had taken a step back to be with his family, knowing how much danger the entire crew is in now,
Would never work.
it would never work because even if he's been off screen, Brian is going to be the one to come in and save the day. But now, since you have a crazy ass motherfucker who knows every single thing, I'm talking about the draw size, the toothpaste, everything.
Be a perfect
How
time for him to kill Brian.
it's the perfect time because with him targeting the whole team, you cannot lead any of us who have been a fan of the series, who watched the series, to know, to believe that he did not target Brian and Mia. And it's not even anything you have to show us on screen because the simultaneous hits that happened in Portugal, it could be when we come back for part 2 that they got caught up in that and that Brian and Mia may have survived. Mia and her kids may have survived. Like when she was taken off to go get Brian and the kids may have survived. I'm not advocating for killing kids, but the kids survived. Brian did not. He sacrificed himself to save the kids. And I think we would buy that and it would do justice to the character because you can't keep mentioning him and having all these things happen and him not showing up. And it's been enough time, you know. May he rest. Love Paul Walker, but it's been enough time, and it's time to do him and his character the service and the justice that they deserve. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. I agree. I've campaigned from the jump on just killing Brian off, because this movie, it really pissed me off. It pissed me off on how and I'm like, is it Vin Diesel that's keeping it alive? Which I wouldn't be surprised if it was Vin Diesel that's kind of like saying that's a no-go. We're not touching him, his character. But like, because I feel that First of all, you got the cookout, right? You got the barbecue. Mia there, right?
And Brian's not.
No. Let's go a step further. Mia is there, but her kids aren't.
Mm-hmm.
But she got an empty seat next to her. Why? Why? Why is there an empty seat next to her that nobody sits in if he's supposedly supposed to be alive in that universe? And if he's alive in that universe and you got a seat like he went around the corner or something like that, or to the store, and he gonna be right back, then where your kids at?
Because
Where's
that's
your
what they did.
kids? It made no sense.
Isn't that what they did in 8? I forgot which one it was that they asked at the barbecue. He had gone around the corner.
Yeah,
It was
he
8 or
went to the
9.
store. But I'm like, where's your kids? Like, she acting like they all acting like little Brian. Still don't like the name. Little Brian is the only kid in the family. He's not. Where's your kids? Because your kids are older than little Brian's kids. Where's your kids? Like, I just thought it didn't make sense to me. And that was one thing I really, really hated about this, is that you're trying to keep this character alive. And I get it. We all loved Paul Walker. He was great. But at the end of the day, like, you can't do nothing. It's not, you're not recasting the character, because that would cause an absolute uproar. And I'm not for it. I'm not saying that I'm for it.
No.
But I agree with you. Now would be the time to kill off Brian, and then have Mia and the kids. Now, I'm going to go a step further. I know you're not about killing kids, but if they're not going to show those kids because they consider them to be important, take them all out. Leave Mia. And then pull her straight back into the crew, because now she going to want revenge because her whole family's gone. The man she loves and the children that she was raising are gone. Bring her fully into the revenge plot. Like, it just, yeah. So that was like one thing. I'm like, who got the kill off Brian campaign started? Because I'm ready to sign. I'm signing on a dotted line.
Thank you. And then the empty chair would make sense, because it's kind of like the pouring out a little liquor or leaving the chair empty for the people who aren't there to join you. But I mean, you can't keep mentioning him and not having him show up for these moments that he would absolutely show up. Because yes, because in this moment, like, okay, I don't blame him for not showing up for going to space, because that was just shit. I wouldn't show up to go to space either. But you know what I'm saying. But especially now, given that the story for the franchise, they've returned it to Earth, and the fact that it really is a little bit more realistic. He was a big part of what happened in Brazil.
Yep.
And given, even like I said, even if we were to buy that he was off, say Paul Walker was off filming a movie and he had limited availability for this particular installment, then part 2, you would definitely expect Brian to be there, to be one of the ones to save the day, to come riding in with the cavalry, right?
At least once.
At least once. So now, like I said, off screen, this is the perfect time, because you have the perfect villain. It doesn't have to be in a car crash. It doesn't have to be anything contrived. I think the audience can accept it now. I think it's time. And the longer you let it go, it doesn't serve his memory. It doesn't serve the character. It actually does more to harm the franchise than it does to help it. To keep coming up with these contrived reasons why such an integral part of the family is not around, especially when we know why. And I also think it would help with their unbelievable nobody stays dead problem. So, but now, what did you think? I thought the perfect plot twist was Ames, played by the also aforementioned sexy Alan Richardson, aka Jack Reacher. I thought, because I was wondering, how the hell does he know all of this stuff? Like, he has to have someone on the inside. And Ames, you thought was going to be another, like, Hobbs comes around, that big bad ass lawmaker who's just determined to take Dom Toretto down, and then he then he has that change of heart mid movie when he realized, oh, the big bad really is the big bad, right? And then at the end, it's like, oh, fuck. And I'm like, because he seemed too good to be true, but it was like, he fits the mold. So I thought he was the perfect red herring. Like, I was like, oh, okay. So I want to see if he can keep crazy on a leash. Like, I thought it was perfect. Like, it surprised me. I didn't think, I knew he had someone on the inside, but I didn't think he would be as big as he was. I didn't think his mole would be as big as it was. I was expecting some little tech geek or something.
Um, I was always suspicious of Ames. Because he was too hardcore. And I feel like we already had Tess that came in, Miss Nobody, who came in, and I was just like, okay, like, first of all, you find out her daddy is Mr. Nobody, and then that she was gonna go for it, and then they had little Nobody. Love
Who was
love the
out of
nicknames.
commission. Yeah.
Yeah, love the nicknames. But Ames just seemed off to me. He seemed off. Now he got me a little bit when he got me a little bit until I was just like, it was too easy how he gave Dom a gun.
Yeah.
Because you have to realize with Hobbs, the reason why they did that with Hobbs is because remember they killed all of Hobbs' people.
Mm-hmm.
So when they killed Hobbs' people, he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna join you because we taking them down." It was a mutual thing. Okay, you getting something out of this, I'm getting something out of this.
Because
With
Hobbs
Ames,
still told him, I'm coming for you, son of a bitch.
yeah, exactly. But Ames, there was no mutual. It was no give and take. There was no
Mm-hmm.
give and take. Why are you giving him a gun? Like it just didn't seem, it didn't make sense. I was always suspicious. Even when he so-called changed sides, I was still suspicious.
I was
Like I
too.
just felt something was off.
I was like, what is in it? Like, is he going to arrest him? Is he setting him? Like, I was thinking he was going to set him up for something else. Like, what is it? And then it's like, I'm like, he's leading him to, like, I don't know. It just seemed like he was leading him into something, like trying to give him directions. Like when he was telling him how to get to the airstrip and the clicks and all of that. I was just like, I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I'm with you. Something just didn't quite seem right. So when they had that reveal at the end, I don't know that I was necessarily like, I kind of thought, I'm like, they're working together, but then I'm like, no. And then, so when I saw at the end, it didn't surprise, I was like, ooh, this is a good plot twist. And I'm like, aha. Like all the pieces of the puzzle just kind of fit together as far as Ames. Cause I'm like, what is his end game? Right. But, so I have a question. Do you think he is responsible, like, for Mr. Nobody's also set his not so uncharacteristic, but his unexplainable absence? Because Mr. Nobody is also someone they were like, oh, he's known to disappear, but when the world is going to shit like that, it's like he wouldn't stay gone. So I'm like, I wonder if there's a bigger explanation behind Mr. Nobody's disappearance,
I do.
and if Ames is responsible for it.
I think he's fully involved in it. And you have to also realize that Tess, Miss Nobody, was very suspicious of him. And I just felt like her instinct, I followed her instincts. And so how she was arguing over the reason why we should support them, and it didn't sway him at all. And I was just like, I don't know, like her facial expression like changed, and I was just like, his hardness just seemed fake to me, if that makes any sense.
Uh-huh.
It just seemed fake to me on how hard and tough he was going, and the agency, they're bringing all of them in. It just seemed so fake. So I was suspicious of him from the jump. So I wasn't necessarily surprised when it was revealed that he had been on Dante's side the whole entire time. I really wasn't.
Yeah, I was just like, okay. And then and I was like, how the hell is the agency just putting them out to dry so quickly? It's like, if you want clean, quiet, and stealth. That is not the crew to send in. Like,
Mhm.
so I was just like, okay, okay. But I am going to say that here's my next controversial thing. I am going to say that I appreciated the growth of Tyrese. This is character. See, I can't even say that
Okay,
with a straight.
we're gonna be on opposite ends of this, I'm guessing. But
Okay,
go ahead. Let explain yourself. Go ahead.
hear me out. Hear me out. I know
Uh-huh.
I know you're saying say less, but you want me to say more to explain what the fuck I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah, go
Because
ahead. Go ahead. Speak
I
more.
can barely say it with a straight face. Okay, just hear me out. He was still an ass. He was still the butt of jokes, but he was actually funnier to me in this. Like his humor served a purpose. Like I love that he like the scene where he had the money strapped to him, it was so Roman. Like it didn't surprise me. All you could do was like, yeah, yeah, that makes sense, right? Um, and even the gold Lambo, the audacious gold Lambo, it was also Roman. It was the flex, but you also realized that there was a method behind his madness where it was used as like a blinding shield when it hit the sun. Like to me, it was just reasons behind the buffoonery or the foolery. Um, and it made sense. So that's what I mean by the character growth. He served an actual purpose. I still loved when Tej and him got into the fight and Tej kicked his ass. I'm gonna side with Tej and say Tej kicked his ass, but Roman was more bearable.
I am going to say
You're finding it hard to 100% disagree.
that Roman Pierce is the most useless character in the Fast and the Furious series. I think he has outstayed his welcome. And I will disagree with you on him being funny. Yes. But I think that his funny, I don't know. And you know what? I'm going to chalk it up to my age. I'm going to chalk it up to my age. Okay. To me, watching the first Fast and the Furious in 2001, yes, it's been that long, y'all. And then watching Too Fast, Too Furious, where Roman was introduced. He acting the same dumb fucking way that he was acting in the first movie that he appeared in. And it's been 20 years.
You know, men mature at a slower rate though.
I don't care. I don't care. Don't even play that with me. Don't play that with me, Eddie. Don't play that with me. Because everybody else has matured. Everybody else has grown and matured. And that's why I say that his character is now useless to me, right? Is because you no longer serve a purpose. Everybody else serves a purpose. And I feel they would still have moments of laughter and ridiculousness without him. There would still be moments without him because I just like, and even when like Taj was trying to like make him feel bad about himself, I wanted to tell Taj, if you don't go step your ass to the corner, I said, don't tell him about how he's a leader, because he's not. He's not. He's not a leader. And I don't know why they would think to give him a mission just because he run his mouth so much, begging and pleading to be a leader, and then he fucked up. Let's be honest. It was a fuck up. And I just, I'm sorry. He serves no purpose. Like, I'm just like, he is literally useless. Everybody else serves a role. Your comedic like sense is like getting too old. It's getting
Like
old.
it's like you're too old for this. And I
Yeah,
think
you too old for this. Like Taj, who's the same age as him, grew. His character grew. His character, like, and I'm just like, what the? And when Taz first was introduced, when Ludacris' character was first introduced with the big hair and everything like that, like he was basically like a street merchant with cars and stuff like that. But I'm like, but you see the growth, you see the maturity. Naturally, you see the maturity of his character, even Ramsey's character. But with Roman, like, I swear he's still acting like he in his 20s.
they
It's too
grew.
much. It's too much.
See, and I guess we will disagree. I think they did an admirable job of growing him up a little bit, baby steps. Some people it's baby steps. I get it, but I'm still not gonna say he's the funniest character, but I think his humor served better than it did in the previous two. He was more bearable to me in this, and he made sense. Like the things that happened um they when they happened, it was like I could see that being true to the character, like him having the money strapped to him. I could see that him making them ride from god, where were they, Italy to London in a fucking perfume chamber, or a cargo car full of perfume and cologne. I see that, like those things I see, you
But
know. Her,
seeing it and feeling that it's necessary to the story are two different things. And I
well,
feel that it didn't. I
go
don't
ahead.
know. I don't know. We just gonna have to agree to disagree.
That's where our twin brain split, huh?
Yeah, because I just like I wrote it down. I wrote Roman useless character.
And see, and I wrote Roman. I appreciated him a little bit. They tried a little harder
Nah,
to
Tyrese
make
can go.
his
Tyrese can
character
go.
a little bit more
I'm good.
believable.
I'm good. You know what? I will let them take Tyrese if I can get back Elena and Giselle. Take Tyrese.
Okay. Well, speaking of which,
You know what?
perfect.
Bring me Romeo. I mean, not Romeo. Bring me Bow Wow.
Oh God.
Bring me Bow Wow.
Talking about not bringing back all the things.
Bring me Bow Wow. I'll take Bow Wow.
Okay, talking about resurrection. So in this, we talked about Paul Walker, um, the brother that should die on screen versus the brother that did die. I am going to go out on a limb and say I would not be surprised if we have not seen the last of John Cena's character Jacob, because we know that deaths stick to this in this story like pasta on a wall. It doesn't really stick. Um, so, or bad chewing gum. I don't know, but you get the analogy I'm trying to make. So, I couldn't be moved by Jacob's death because I don't know if it's real or not. Because tada, Giselle, what the fuck? Like, is
I'm
this?
for, you know I'm for that.
I get it. I get it. I'm not totally against it. I'm not. But here's the thing: is this okay? DC fired you, so welcome back. Like, and we'll talk about where I'm going
No.
with that in a minute. But I get it. She's a very popular character, but I'm just like, how are you going to explain this?
How
Because
did they explain how?
I know, and that's something I'm looking forward to seeing is how I can't, and I wrote that down literally. I can't wait to see how they explain that shit. That's exactly what I wrote down, of how she survived, and I get it because it is, we've talked about the Fast franchise, the Fast and Furious series, and not many deaths stick. But now coming back to the story, bitch, where the fuck you been? And how you gonna have my boy mourning you for damn near 10 years, 8 years? Like that's, that's what's in my heart. Like for real, for real. It better be good to have my boy Han going through
But
that
here's the
shit.
thing. You know it got to be really something because she showed up because of Cypher.
That is true. So, like, what the fuck?
Yo,
Cypher had her on
what if
ice
her and
all the.
Cypher as siblings?
Oh shit. Uh oh. Uh oh.
No, no. Well, I mean,
And how?
from one parent, because I know she was Mossad. She was Mossad. So maybe one of her parents.
But we don't even know the full story about Cypher.
You're right, but I don't. Please don't let them take down the route of trying to make Charlize Theron's character Jewish, but or not Jewish, but Israeli. But I could see them being family in some type of way.
I could too, and it makes
Cypher
you want to.
saved her.
Yeah, like what's the connection? That's what I want to know. Is like because she did come for Cypher, and here's my thing with Cypher. I love Cherie. Cherie, she's my girl. She's my girl crush. I'll say it. It used to be Angelina. It's Charlize. Okay.
You're right.
That's my girl crush. That's my new Hollywood baby mama. All right. So
That's because
um
Angelina got too many now. But
yeah. See, I can't be helping her pay that child support. But but here's the thing. I love Cypher. I love her evolution. I love her as the anti-hero. Do not turn her into a full-blood hero. Like I love Dame Helen. I need more Dame Helen in my life. Like Helen Mirren is the bomb. I love her. Um,
yo, can I just say how amazing her hair looked
Girl, cause she
in
Dame
that scene?
Helen.
And
Did you
look,
expect
I
anything
kept
less?
staring at her hair like, dang, that's a nice hairstyle you got there, Helen.
Did you expect anything less?
No, no, not from her. No,
No,
not at all.
no. Okay, so I'm really curious about Giselle, um, and how she ends up being alive. Um, I am also curious. I guess we can go ahead and talk about now. Um, I'm curious about The Rock and how he like you tank you finished tanking DC and you want to come back now. Like I'm really curious about how he went from never ever like was Black Adam his humble pie like and I'm glad they made up because I
No,
mean
they made up already. They made up
yeah
already
I
by
know
then.
you know but so I'm just like, well, when he was filming Black Adam or right before Black Adam, he said no, he wouldn't. So anyway, I don't know. I'm just glad they made up. I don't like seeing. I really didn't like seeing two men of color public stars, big stars like that feud. So but we'll see. So also, does this mean that I will finally get my Hobbs and Shaw sequel? Because you know what I'm about to say now. You
What you about to
know
say?
I you know who I need more of in my life, and I hope to see more of in part two.
Well, he got to be there because he got to go save Queenie.
Okay, because you know I need
When
more
he
Statham in my life.
look, Eddie, when he started putting in the guns in the bag, and he took more guns and put them in the bag, and then more guns and took in the bag, took some what do you call oh my
Grenades.
god, the bomb grenades. He took some grenades, he put them in the bag. Then he went for some more guns, and they looking at him like, dude, like how many guns you about to put in this bag? And I said, he about to go save his mama. He gonna take as much guns as he needs to save his mama. You know who I do want to show up though, because I would like it if for part two, his brother and his sister shows up as well.
Oh yeah. Oh
Like
yeah.
make it a whole fucking family affair up in here.
Yeah.
La
All
Familia.
right. Yeah, I need more Statham. Like that scene was one of my favorites. Like I loved it. I loved Han, him and Han working out their issues or whatever. And then he's like, "What? You brought the cops to my door? And you brought them here to kill me?" And he's like, "Nah." So then they start fighting together. But the funniest part of that scene, the best part was that fucking punching,
What's the what?
the punching bag when the
Oh my god. Oh my god. I still don't. I was just like, is that like a sexual thing? Did you get a hint of that? Like, I was just like, was that like a little bit of a sexual thing going? Like, what was that? Because there was no explanation of that whatsoever. And then when
well,
he ran up the stairs and then he got hidden behind the wall, and then you see him again.
I think honestly, I think Han and the agency rolling up in there saved Homeboy's life. I really think that. I think it was. I think he was going to beat him to death and then probably, mutilate him. It's no telling what he did, how much money he owed. We know Hobbs ain't wrapped too tight. Uh, so I really, I don't think Homeboy was supposed to make it out alive. And he's like, and when he finally comes to after being beaten, and then remember that the truck came in and knocked the bag off of the thing, off of the hook. So when he finally comes to, he wakes up in his bag, and then he's butt ass naked. He sees all those people. So everybody's like, I'm not even gonna ask. Like to them, it's like, okay, like, yeah. But so I need more Jason Statham in my life. I just do. I love. Everyone knows I love Jason Statham. So and he looked good too, of course, obviously. But Dame Helen, yes, because I was like, ooh, are we gonna get to see him save Queenie? Like, what's up? And I'm like, oh, they fucked up when they went after his mama. Like, as soon as he heard that, And I'm with you. I'm like, damn, that bag is bigger than it looks. All those guns. Um, so did you have a favorite scene or scenes or anything else you loved that we didn't talk
um, so one of my favorite scenes was the scene that we already talked about, and that's the Manny and Petty.
about? Yes, self care.
Um, and I think I'm gonna have to once again sing Jason Momoa's praises. I love the fact of like my favorite scenes was him.
Hmm.
Every scene that I loved about this movie, that's why I said this was his movie. This was his shot. Because every single scene that I love about this movie that made me love this movie and like want to go see it again and again was he was in every single one of those scenes. From the first one when he showed up and he said he was talking to Cypher and he was just like of the most important of the most important person to you, and he's looking straight at Cypher and she said, what are you talking about, because you looking at her, and he was like, oh, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking about Kevin's dad, Bobby's dad, Mia's, like he just started naming people, and he was just like, what's your decision? And they turned against her. And I will agree with you, that was genius. But you know what I loved even more about that scene was the fact that Cypher kicked all their asses.
Asses.
Like
Yeah.
they forget that she's a fucking genius.
And
And she don't trust nobody because like she said, I'm only worried about number one, and that's me. And so you mean to tell me the whole time that he's talking, she's already in her head planning her next move. She figuring out what to do, kick their ass, and then and left. I love that scene. I love that scene. I also love how when he first showed up and I said, so dude, you're not gonna button up your shirt? Like that was my first thought. Like, we really rolling up here with our chest out? I said, okay. This Jason Momoa. He looking sexy. All right. When he rolled up the second time with his flamboyant ass, I said, oh shit. This motherfucker crazy. I said that because and speaking the different languages and the hand movements and like, oh my God, like what are you? And I was just like, oh, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I said because there's a special person that can play that role as well as he did. He killed that role. That was his role through and through. I'm telling you, the man can act.
yeah, he understood his assignment, and
He did.
and I'm with you. It's hard for me to remember. Like, I know he was in Game of Thrones, and then he left Game of Thrones, and I think he had said he was damn near broke until Aquaman, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we got him big from Game of Thrones, and then I was thinking, what has he really done? He did Game of Thrones, and then he was in C. So this, we know Jason Momoa, but and I'm sure besides Baywatch, and I'm sure there's some other things, but this truly is that thing that shows that he's more than just that brute from Game of Thrones or the brute that in C. Like C is really good. I don't know if you've seen it. It's great,
I saw, yeah, I did. It is
but
good. I agree.
but it's still a little bit Game of Thrones-ish. Like you used to him, it shows his range because we're used to him kind of playing the hero in different ways, right? And with this, it shows that he like I'm not saying he didn't like I can't say it enough. He understood. He lived in the character. Like he knew the character was crazy, and you think it's over the top, especially maybe from what you see from the excuse me, the trailers or whatever, but it's perfect. And I think you described it perfectly when you say it's kind of like that Bond villain. Um, some of the best Bond villains are the ones who are kind of campy and crazy, but it fit the moment because it fit in perfectly with this type of movie, you know. And it did. I was impressed even with his range. I'm like, he's amazing. Like I couldn't stop singing his praises. And I was just like, so when you asked me, and I'm like, when you asked me that question, I'm like, okay, am I going to say what I quote unquote should say? Because it's Vin Diesel. But being honest, Um, it was Jason Momoa. He was the star of the movie, you know,
He
and
was.
and it's like I can't wait to see what else he comes up with, or they come up with him for
He
to
needs to
do.
get roles. He needs to get roles for this. Like, I think people take away the fact that it's the Fast and the Furious series. Just watch the reel of him
Hmm.
and watch him in and then remember him in other shows, Game of Thrones, Aquaman, Sea. And you can definitely tell he got range and he can act, but I did not see it until this movie. I did. I've seen his other movies and his other shows, but I did not see his range and what he could do until this movie. I came out of there saying that is a man that deserves more than what he currently has.
Yeah, it's a it surprised me, but it didn't. When, like I said, when we first heard Jason Momoa was coming into the movie, I'm like, okay, how's he going to be introduced into the family? Then you hear that he's playing a villain, and it's like, what? And then it's like, okay, but it wasn't a one-dimensional villain. And this is one of the, and it, this is one of the ones where I would love to sit down and interview him and find out how much was ad-libbed and how much did he take on. Like, and they actually let him bring in parts of his personality because his favorite colors are purple and pink, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those hair bows that he wore during the self-care scene, those are actually his. So there were parts of his personality in this movie, and it's just like, okay. And so I was just like, I I so I'm looking forward to seeing some of the other things that he can do. And I'm with you. It should let people know who try to fit him in a box, aside from the Fast and Furious, that he does have range, um, comedic range, even, because let's face it, the jokes in Aquaman, they were corny, they fell flat. It was just like they were kind of like those still corny dad superhero jokes, I guess. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But here it's like, okay, he has the comedic range and the comedic timing with the right material. Like I'm with you. It shows that he can do more than what I think a lot of us have given him credit for being that heartthrob and that Jason, So I applaud him for wanting to take a chance, and just reading about him and stuff like that. It doesn't surprise me that he would take on the villain role so early in the career to show his range, to kind of step out of that box that I know a lot of people would probably try to put him in. So I applaud that.
I
Um,
have one more
oh,
scene. Sorry.
okay, go ahead. No, go ahead.
One of the other scenes that I really, really loved was the fight between Letty and Cypher. That whole entire thing, because the relationship that can develop between Letty and Cypher, because like Cypher said in the beginning, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I look at Letty seeing Cypher like that. But before we get to it where you're gonna have to be my friend so we can get out of this, I'm gonna kick your ass. And I love that. She was like, how much time we got? She said 4 minutes. She said, oh, that's more than enough. And they went at it. And I thought that was a great scene in such a small area, on them fighting and going through glass and everything like that, and then her getting to the top, coming back down, and Cypher's waiting with the coat and the boots for her, be like, here so you can stay warm. Finally getting up and then seeing Giselle coming up with the same submarine. I forget which one the submarine was from. Seven.
Yeah.
Okay, and coming up with the same submarine that I feel is from Seven. So that was another one of the scenes that I really loved. One of the only scenes that I really loved that did not have Dante Reyes in though.
No, the submarine I think was from 8,
Okay, from
because
eight.
7 was when they were in Abu Dhabi. I don't know. Sometimes they run together. I have to watch. I have to go back, but I want to say 7 was just them in Abu Dhabi. I don't think Paul Walker was around for 8, so I think that was the submarine, because I know that 7 was really rock heavy. I think 7
Okay,
was
you know
the
what? It
rock
was
that
eight.
one.
It was eight. I remember that.
Is 8? Okay, yeah, because
That's when
8
they
was the
decided to go to
rock.
space.
Oh yeah, because 8 was really rock heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um. But yeah, I agree with you. I love the scene. And I keep going back and forth on it. And your explanation of the timing is one of the things I keep going back and forth on. I understood it and I thought it was needed. I really do. And in the moment when I was watching it, I'm like, I understand why, because this is necessary, but is it necessary now? Like it's kind of like, to me, I think it kind of would have, because there were a lot of throwback moments in here to other things, like when Dom caught his son. I'm like, ooh, that's like when Dom caught Bloody on the hood in 5 or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And so different things, I've just calling back those moments, and my friend was like, you've seen this way too much. And I'm like, I'm not ashamed to admit, I love the fucking Fast and Furious. Like, I love the series. I love it. 9 was an outlier, still better than 3, but I love the series. Anyway, so I was like, ugh, does it need to be one of those moments like where Dom and Brian raced, but they knew they had to put it off to the end, or does it need to come now? And so I go back and forth on it. And when you just explain it the way you explained it, I'm like, okay, it makes more sense there. I like it. I can see it. But I did love the scene. I understood the exact purpose of it. And it, like you said, it was very necessary. And I love, like, give or take who you think kicked whose ass and Letty knocked her out. So I guess by default, because I was cheering on Charlize. I'm like, beat her, Charlize, beat her. But like I said, I'm a Charlize fan. So, but when she got up to the top and she saw that she was in the middle of Antarctica, like, serves you right. And then she had to take her ass back down, and she was waiting, like, okay, you ready to listen to me now? Like, here, you know. So, but I think, they plan on spinning off this series forever. But I know that there's been talk about doing an all female version, and I was like, ooh, they would be great to head up the all female version, like Miss Nobody, uh, Tess, Giselle, since she's obviously back in the family, Letty, like all the badass
Ramsey,
Ramsey. It's like all
Queenie,
the bad. Oh hell yeah, Queenie, Queenie, like
and the
all the
sister.
bad.
You remember what the sister name? I'm sorry. No, what this? I don't remember what the sister name is, but the sister too.
No, but I know the actress who plays her, so I'm like, yeah, all the badass shit that they could do, because it's going to be the women that come in and save the day. So, yeah, but I agree with you. I guess with our exception of the necessity of, um, I won't say necessity, because I agree with you. If there's a character you could lose and probably still maintain the integrity of the film, it would probably be Roman. But one more scene I love, and I wish they could have done a little bit more with it. I wish the trip would have lasted a little longer. I loved when Han ate the muffin.
Oh yeah.
I was like, ooh, I do wish his trip could have lasted a little longer. I think it would have been funny if it would have lasted, or just really, really start to kick in when he got to Jason Statham. That would have been funny for Hobbs or Shaw. Okay, so I guess overall, before we wrap this one up, I'm excited for part 2, which isn't coming out for another 2 years. It's going to come out in 2025. And I think we talked about the things. I'm just really interested to see how they will get out of the peril we in. We know that most of them will survive, but I think this is also one where it's the Fast and Furious. They're going to survive, but now it's like how, because up until this point, all the tricks that they've used in the old movies, they haven't worked. They didn't work. You know, they were only like temporary fixes, and I actually love the fact that it ended on a cliffhanger. So, is there anything that we haven't discussed that you're particularly interested to see in part 2 or see them address?
Kill Brian off.
Yeah, yeah. I can't, and I hate saying that, but I think it's time. And part this would give them the perfect opportunity to do so and make it be understandable and believable, and give his character the due that he deserves. So I agree with you on that. Okay, so what are you rating Fast 10?
Look, I'm rating Fast 10 based off of the amazingness that is Jason Momoa. And because of just the amazing range that he had within this movie and just how much I enjoyed it. Like, if I am saying right now, if you go and see this movie, you will like it. Okay? Do not be deterred by the previous attempts. because this one definitely makes up for it. So I am going to rate Fast 10 4 popcorns. I really, really enjoyed it. I am going to see it again, and I hope that everybody gives it a chance because it is worth it. Definitely worth it. What about you, Eddie?
I'm with you. As we were talking, I kind of, I realized, and I think even as I was writing this, I realized I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. And the more we talked about it, and the more that I see that we were, I was like, okay, so I'm going to rate it up from what I originally had, and I am going to give it a 4.25. And I had it at a 4. But I'm giving that extra popcorn because it kind of reminds me, it throws back to Fast Five, which was a reset of the series, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say that this one is a reset to get us ready for the end. So I think this is a perfect. So we're going to call it the ending trilogy of the original, of the OG Fast X series. And I think if they stay on this trajectory and they continue to tell this story, you still have the suspension of belief. But like I said, it's just a popcorn guilty pleasure. Don't try to send us back into space and do that bullshit again. But if you continue to tell this story and give us this kind of quality, I think it's going to end on a good note. And 9 definitely was not the way to end it. So I'm going to give it the 4.25, and that extra 2.5 is based on our conversation and Jason fucking Momoa. Awesome, who has definitely been a star. All right, got anything else?
No, that's it.
I will say this: I am happy because I just knew when I was watching the movie, I'm like, I wonder if Tammy actually liked this because I know you were not very excited to see this, and I know that this is one you did in consideration for me because just how much of a geek I am for this stupid series. And I remember the last time when we talked about it, you're like, yeah, it's there. Okay, whatever. So I know you
Yeah,
weren't
I did put it
really.
on the list for you.
I know you weren't really geeked out to see it, but so I'm glad you liked it. Okay. Well, that does it for this week's episode of the Popcorn Wind Down. Please be sure to like, listen, follow, and comment anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. You can also keep up to date on the latest in entertainment pop culture news as well as other amazing kernels of pop culture goodness at thepopcornwinddown.com. That's it. That's the plug.
Pop, 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 pop.
Thank you as always, and be sure to join us next week when we review. I'm excited about this one too, even though I hate musicals. The Little Mermaid. Are you excited?
Yes, it's one of my favorite Disney movies.
Okay. I am excited for various reasons and things that we'll talk about, and I've actually heard that it's pretty good. So we will see. Even though I despise musicals, I'm going in with an open mind. Um, so until next time, I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy. Bye.
Peace.